Let's go on a road trip to Sutton Hoo. So Mel and I thought, well, before we do that, we'd better go off and look at the treasures. The treasures are held at the British Museum with its wonderful roof, my favourite building. The helmet pieces look incredible, and even more so in the reconstruction. The other pieces of jewellery are the originals, and the workmanship, the intricacy is astonishing. But what's even more astonishing is where the component parts came from, all over the known world. And the night before we set off, we watched a film, which was a good way of starting. So the next morning, up off the A5 Edgware Road to Waltham Cross, which is on the River Lee, and the River Lee is the boundary line between the old Danelaw and the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. The last Anglo-Saxon king is actually buried at Waltham Cross, together with his lovely wife, who had a long neck like a swan. The town itself is a bit swallowed up in kind of M25 suburbia, but the Abbey is a magnificent building. And I particularly liked a lot of the wooden carving. So you've got this kind of altarpiece here, and you've got this chap here who deserves his sleep. He must be exhausted. Out of the Abbey, follow the swans down the River Lee, and we went off for about a 5-mile walk. An absolutely beautiful day, kind of 21 degrees in late September. It's an Indian summer. And walking down the river was a little bit like walking down the canals in London. And on the one side, you've got this beautiful scenery, or all the trees going down to the river. It just looks fantastic. On the other side, you've got lots of industry, and the industry got heavier and heavier as we got down towards London. You even had a power station with its dirty great big pylons. That didn't bother the locals. Fido here, a cormorant drying himself in the sunshine, a dad teaching the cygnets how to fly, Mr. Fox keeping a beady eye out for a tasty meal. I don't think these geese had come all the way from Canada. And there were some very friendly horses. We do like horses, especially this chap here. Yes, we did like him a lot. And then finished our walk to a railway station, back up to where we went. And then the A10, Ermine Street to Bury St Edmunds. Again, a beautiful day for a drive. We kind of got towards Roddy and Lucy as it was getting dark, to their beautiful house. And we got fed a delicious vegan pasta meal out in the garden, which was just great, and met the puppies. The next day, we stayed at a local Premier Inn. It was only about 3 miles away from Audley End, which, as you can see, was altogether a different proposition. We got there at 10, stormed past the stable block, stormed past the house. We were just interested in the cafeteria with our vegan rolls. And then we went through the house, particularly like this picture of the vegetable cellar. But the star attraction was the back of the house. And you can see Mel here with her crown of greens. It was absolutely beautiful, very, very mature trees and gardens and vegetable plots. We gave Audley End a 9 out of 10. We thought that was very good. And then we carried on up the A10, Ermine Street to Bury St Edmunds, a market town, which reminded me of Cirencester. It too has an abbey gate, but no abbey. And then there was a fine cathedral, and some of the old ecclesiastical buildings looked as though they were pretty old indeed. It was very good to see that weddings were still taking place. That's always nice to see. The inside of the cathedral, apart from the scenes, was quite a lot more austere, more white. You can see me gawking up here because they've actually extended the cathedral. Look at this amazing roof here, which was only finished about 10 years ago. Didn't know they were doing that. So a very fine building indeed. This plaque to the RAF where my dad was serving in Iraq. And then off to Sutton Hoo, and you can see the sheer size of the boat. The house wasn't the house that was in the film. They cheated there. But the burial mounds were. You can see they built a new navigation tower, which was not navigation, observation tower. And you've got a great view of the mounds, especially this one where the boat was. And you can see the house kind of looking all over them. So we're getting towards the end of the day now. It had a busy day, and it was nice just to chill for a little bit in the sunshine at the house, because we'd actually booked to stay in Ipswich. Now, Ipswich, never been to before, probably never go again, but we had a nice hotel overlooking the water, watching this London barge come in. This is, of course, how the Anglo-Saxons were connected to the rest of the world, via boats. Then we went off and had cocktails in a boat and wine in a bar, and noodles, and we enjoyed that. And by the time we'd finished all that, it was starting to get dark, Betty Tartar's time. And then, as a special treat, took Mel off for a walk of the docks the next day. Mel loves walking around the docks. You can see our hotel. And then a trendy breakfast, avocado on toast, before going off to Colchester, which is a military town. There used to be a huge temple, but Boadicea and her boys put pay to that. And then about 1,000 years later, they built this walloping great big castle. I think it's the biggest keep in England. And they've turned it into a museum now. Here's a Norman arch. Again, a bit like Cirencester, lots of Roman artefacts and things from the Civil War. They even had an old green man from a church, which I always like. So there you are. We've had quite a tour of England. We've travelled on the old Roman roads. We've seen a little bit of the Anglo-Saxons, of the Danes. We've seen a bit more of the Romans and also of the Normans. And all that, just an hour and a half from London town. That was our road trip. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.